Are we at war yet? Well, who knows by the time this video gets posted. It's moving so fast. Stay tuned to get some of my thoughts on what's going on with Iran and how you need to be prepared. Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead, the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for watching. Want to make a quick note that my newsletter is getting ready to drop today. So go ahead, and if you'd like to get that newsletter, it's free and I'm not selling you a bunch of stuff and spamming you or anything, but you can sign up for the newsletter in a link down in the description below and get that newsletter sent directly to your email box. All right. Well, this is not any news to anyone, but tensions are heating between us and the Iranian government. I'm sure that most everyone watching is aware of what's going on and has probably been keeping fairly up to date on it. The rockets fired on the U.S. base and the consulate office, obviously the attack on the embassy, the United States government killing their top general, and of course all the threats being thrown back and forth, either way, from both sides. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit. So I do believe, you know, always try to present a balanced view and a, you know, kind of a calm view of things. Try not to get too worked up and too much of the sky is falling kind of thoughts. But I will say that this one certainly looks like it has the potential to go into a full-scale engagement. As of the making of this video, the president is supposed to be making an announcement later on the attack on the American base. So that will have already happened by the time most of you are watching this video. And we'll see what happens with that. Of course, Iran isn't a real threat to us, but they could definitely harm our assets in other countries, our allies, and I think the biggest danger, the biggest threat to you and I is the potential terrorism that they could unleash here in the United States. There are several, at least confirmed or suspected, sleeper terrorist cells here in the United States, and many of them, or most of them, are somewhat funded, supported by Iran. Iran is known to be a huge state sponsor of terrorism, so there's certainly the potential there for danger. But then there's also this potential of false flags. We have well, our government's pretty good at doing that, and they like to commit these false flags in order to kind of push their agenda, and usually it's more legislation and more control to kind of you know, usher in new draconian laws. So I think that there's definitely a lot of things that you and I need to kind of be watching for. As far as the potential for actual terrorist attacks here in the United States, regardless of who commits them, for the people that are in the higher populated areas, I think that's certainly something that you need to be watching for. Stocking up on things, being prepared for potential power outages. A lot of soft targets could be hit, and even hard targets. And as I've said before in these videos, is that our electric grid is really a soft target. It wouldn't take much to cause a lot of damage there, and there's already been threats to that. Homeland Security has been already out warning people of it, and certain cities like New York have been warning their citizens of, you know, potential threats. So I do believe there's a, you know, possibility there. So it's something that as preparedness-minded people, we need to take note of that and make sure we're as prepared as possible. You know, I don't think that we're looking at necessarily the apocalypse happening, but there is certainly a potential for for danger there. So, you know, you need to, you know, make sure your food supplies are in check. If gasoline, if you need that kind of stored up, because expect that to start skyrocketing. And then, you know, if you have things like generator backups and stuff, you know, make sure they're in working order, check them out, give them a test run, and make sure your fuel is good. You know, gasoline does not last that long. So if your gasoline's old, it may not function, and you might need to exchange it out for some that actually works. So those are just some quick tips, I guess, on preparing for that. You know, there's definitely a lot of heated threats being thrown back and forth. You know, apparently the Iranian government has issued a bounty on the president's head. The president has threatened to strike some of their most important, you know, places and historic sites. They've made threats against some of our naval ships. We've been moving Marines and bombers and naval ships into the area just within the last few days. So we're certainly getting to that point that there's, you know, it wouldn't take much probably to push us over the edge. And then we've got our own, you know, our own people, if that's what you want to call them, here in the United States, these liberals that are, you know, pretty much apologizing to the Iranians for what has happened. I watched a thing of, I guess it was an NPR reporter that was in Iran at the funeral for this guy that we killed, and you know, it was almost like she was going to break down in tears and nearly apologizing for the fact that he was, you know, taken out. This guy that's known to, you know, murdered and caused destruction and orchestrated multiple terrorist attacks all over the globe. And we've got, you know, an American citizen in that country, you know, apologizing. And it made me think, you know, how far we have gone in this country that is even, you know, even considered to do. You know, back in the 40s and 50s, if a reporter had done that, they might as well have just stayed there, because if they'd come home, heaven forbid what people would have done to them. And yet here we are in a society that it's okay to do that. And you know, I'm not praising and justifying everything that the president does, but it's typically considered that when you know, we as a people are attacked in some way, that, you know, we put aside our political differences for the most part and kind of stand together, and we're not seeing that happen. And I understand that's happened in the past also, but I don't know if it's been on quite the level that we're seeing now, where you've got, you know, people and, you know, celebrities sending out tweets of how, you know, they're apologizing to the Iranian people on the behalf of the American people. It's quite sickening that we can't even stand together through something like this. So another thing that I saw that was interesting, and although there's not any direct connection, but Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has been making a lot of unexpected and unannounced moving around since all this has happened. He's gone to Syria and met with the prime minister there, and I guess he's headed to Turkey also. So, you know, is this, you know, nothing, or is there something there? It does seem to be a little odd that it's happened at the same time that this, you know, hostilities are rising between us and Iran. Then there was a commercial jet that was taken down, or that came down in Iranian airspace, took off from Iran and crashed. Of course, they're saying that it was just a malfunction, but there's some videos out on it that I was watching that could possibly, you know, look like it was struck by some type of, you know, missile or something. It looks like the plane is breaking apart and exploding in the air, which I know could be a malfunction, but it does look like it could be, you know, something that was taken down, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. So anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on. I know I'm not really bringing you a lot of news to it of what's going on, because most of you are probably keeping up on it. But you know, I think things have been pretty quiet for the most part here in the United States for quite a while. And with all the political tensions and the fact that it's an election year, we could certainly see some you know, some bad things happen. Some attacks, whether they're from terrorists or whether they're false flags, because that's common for that kind of stuff to happen when it's an election year, and when there are the political tensions that we are seeing. So I think for most of us, we need to stay on our toes, and you know, and just kind of be aware of that, and do our part in preparing. Like I said, I suspect that oil prices will start going up. Oops, I just kicked my camera. I suspect that oil prices will start going up. We could, like I said, I would think if the Iranians were really going to attack us here in the United States, their prime target would probably be our grid. If they really wanted to harm us, if they really wanted this to go to the next level, it would be an electric grid attack. Now, there's also a lot of talks about this, you know, if this continues to escalate into a full-blown war, is there a potential of this becoming nuclear? At this stage, I don't see anything to indicate that. You know, it's possible that Iran has one. You know, there's still speculation on that and whether they could actually get one to us if they have the means to get it here. But then there's also the Russians and the North Koreans, and they're all buddies with Iran. So it all depends on how far we're going to take this, is if they could potentially get involved in a conflict against us, siding with the Iranians. And as of right now, it doesn't appear that especially the Russians really want to get involved in this. But I wouldn't put it past them if things continue to escalate. And it becomes more than these little skirmishes back and forth. So, would there eventually be a potential of this going nuclear? Yeah, of course. I think there's always that chance. Just not sure of the likelihood of it. But let me know what you guys and gals think. This, I wanted to have this video out, a day or two ago when it first started happening, but things are kind of happening so rapidly. I really also wanted to wait a little bit to get a little bit more information and just see how things start to play out. And it does seem to be playing out as a continued increase in hostility. So I think that the Iranians have tried to call the president's bluff, and so now the ball seems to be in our court for the moment as to whether or not we will, continue to escalate this. And I think for us, there is a potential for danger, and that's where we need to be on guard. I don't think this is just going to be something that we're going to see happening in the Middle East. The Iranians are certainly known to be one of the largest state sponsors of terrorism, and it's pretty much a known fact that they have a lot of tentacles within our own nation. I mean, for the last decade or so, we have been allowing refugees and then illegals that are flooding into this nation, and we know that some of them, for certain, are Middle Eastern and have Islamic ties and very potential Iranian ties. So the potential for numerous terrorist cells to already be in the United States, it's not even a suspicion. We know that it's happening, and we know they're there. So, are they ready to activate them? I don't know. And that's basically what we're kind of waiting to see. Sorry, it's a little windy out here, and it's kind of looks like it's bouncing my camera around a little bit. I apologize for that. Not very professional, but guess what? I'm a hillbilly, so that's what you get. All right, let's stay on top of this, keep the discussions going, and who knows, as this escalates, I may make another video in a couple of days about it. I don't want to beat the subject to death, but if it's worthy of more discussion, I'll certainly be back on here talking about it, and we'll see see what happens and hope and pray that it doesn't get too bad, but certainly be prepared for it. All right, I'll catch you folks in the next video.